live and direct from the Golden State. It's intelligent talk media, the Denise Gary Show. Now, here's Denise Gary.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Denise Gary Show today. It's just great to be with you. We've got on the line at this moment Aileen Blachowski. This is the co-founder of Informed Parents of California. As you know, we've been talking about the big public rally in Sacramento tomorrow morning, Thursday, the 28th. It's at 10 a.m. Aileen, tell us about this important rally and why the parents of California need to be there at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Thank you so much, Denise, for having us on and for championing parents today.
Absolutely.
We are out, we'll be out at the Capitol tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., just like you mentioned, on the South Steps. So that's the side of the building that faces N Street. And we'll be out there working hard to protect children's health. There are laws that have been passed in the state that really compromise kids' well-being, their physical health, their mental well-being, their emotional state. And we have these sex ed laws that our kids are being exposed to, and parents don't have a right to opt out of the content. And so we'll be out there championing an amendment to AB 329. It's called SB 673, and it's being sponsored by Senator Mike Morrell. We just came out of his office. We had a great meeting with him this morning, and we are fired up to sponsor his amendment to protect the youngest learners in this state from being exposed to this kind of curriculum. So we are encouraging parents, rain or shine, bring an umbrella just in case. When there's inclement weather, it's even more imperative that we show up.
Absolutely.
Our intent makes all the difference.
Right.
As we've been meeting with legislators this morning, they've told us there's only so much we can do. Unless parents come to the fore and step up for their own kids and put pressure in their own individual districts, there's really not much these legislators can do unless we put the pressure on our legislators. So please, come out, support this rally, stand for the protection and health of our children in the state of California. Make your voice heard. After the rally, you can attend the Instructional Quality Commission meeting and give them a piece of your mind. You can share some comments with them at an open comment period at 11:30 a.m. It's right down the block.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's remind everybody, Aileen, this kind of education, this isn't health education like you and I had health education in high school or college. This isn't that kind of health education. This isn't talking about, our sexual organs or sexually transmitted disease. This talks about lubricants and sex toys and anal sex and LGBT and how people can talk about whether or not they think their gender in terms of what they look at in the mirror is actually how they really feel. I mean, this is really strange kinds of things that they're looking to push on children as young as age 5. So
right, and we know this is not healthy for kids, and that's the whole reason why we're out here. Some people would say, look, LGBTQ kids, they need a space, a safe space and all these things. Well, we've seen evidence in these curricula that actually put their health at risk. Significant risk because of medical inaccuracies and so forth. This is not a war against a lifestyle. This is about parents protecting their children. We like to say we are not protesters, we are protectors, and we are not activists. We're parents who love our kids, and it's our right and our responsibility to step up and stand in the gap for them and keep this indoctrination scheme from, running roughshod over our next generation. So please join us at the Capitol. Make the sacrifice. Take a half a day off of work. Join us at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday, March 28th, on the South Steps of the Capitol. It'll just take an hour. If you can take a couple hours off, you can join us for the Instructional Quality Commission comment period. We would love to have you out here representing the parents of California who will stand in the gap. If you see our logo at Informed Parents of California, we look like a mama grizzly bear who's about to go on the offense for our kids. And that's who we are, and that's what we are. Please come on out and support the health and welfare of kids. Even if you don't have kids, you're a taxpayer, and your taxpayer funding is going to support this kind of garbage in our schools. Please come out and support kids tomorrow.
And I like your point, Aileen, that it's not a war on LGBT or transgender issues. It's just that we don't need to introduce it into the classroom, especially when we're talking about elementary school children and middle school children. It's just not something that we need to do in terms of confusing, I think, children about their gender identity. And I think the mental health issue, the emotional issues, as you pointed out, are so key. I mean, really, is that the kind of thing that we want to have a public school teacher who we don't know anything about, we don't know their values? I like what I've heard in terms of. I heard something. In fact, I think it was in this press release from you, perhaps. I like the point that's made that this AB 329 that needs to be repealed is really about promoting social change, undermining our families, our parental authority, our cultural values, and the very principles this nation was founded. And people, you need to remember, you don't have the opportunity to opt out. Another very important reason, when the state starts telling you that you can't keep your children out of the classroom for this kind of sexual conversations and textbook reading, they're certainly undermining the families here in the state of California. Right, Aileen?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, that's one part of the point for tomorrow is not only to rally and stand united to protect kids, but when you see the proposed health framework that our Department of Ed, they have these committees that are, these are unelected officials. They're just appointed people who sign up to be parts of these education committees, and they're buried layers deep inside the Department of Education. These people are really coming from a highly biased background. You can, if you want to look them up, you can. Most people won't. But the thing is the content that they have created in this framework for health that will guide what textbook publishers will actually print and what will be taught in the classroom for the next 10 years. It is so clear that there is just a massive sexualization and indoctrination scheme going on here. There's very, very little to do with actual education. I mean, if in health education we are ignoring the biology that gender actually is informed by our chromosomes, I mean, what are we teaching? So, yes, there's a huge agenda at play. And I can just tell you that based on meetings we've had today with senators and legislators, we've been applauded throughout this building, and we don't want any credit. We just want results. We want this kind of thing rolled back. But you know what? They're counting on us. They're counting on parents to come to the fore because they're saying, look, our time is running out. They're only coming with more and more bills just like this. So if parents don't stand up now, we will lose our voice, and we may lose it for good. And I don't need to share that with you as a threat or with your listeners.
No, you're fine.
It's really important to understand what's at play.
Parents need to understand this is up and down the state of California, and you need parents from every single district, from every single school district to show up and to tell their elected representatives, we don't want you to tell our children to explore their gender. We don't need you to talk to them about using lubricants or sex toys or having anal sex. If you want to teach science, teach science. But we don't need people, strangers, talking to our children, informing children about things that really do not belong in a public classroom. We've gone far, far astray from reading, writing, arithmetic, and the sciences. And this is not what I think California taxpayers signed up for when we send children to school.
Right.
So this is
I don't know if we talked about this on the last time I was on your show, but we learned last week that there was a school district in Southern California that actually had a supplemental piece to their curriculum, and it was AB 329 compliant curriculum. And it actually gave a history lesson on the topic of pederasty, which is the practice of pedophilia. And one of the parents in that in that district went to the board. You can go to our Facebook group at Informed Parents of California and see the video, but one of our parents was there and asked this assistant superintendent at the end of the meeting, why are you teaching this in our classroom? And while it seemed she wasn't going to answer the question at first, she came over to a very small group of people, looked straight in the camera of a cell phone and explained, we are teaching this because we are teaching the historical perspective of sexual orientations and gender identities throughout history, and it's very, very important. And the parent said, are you saying that pedophilia is a sexual orientation? And she said, we're teaching an historical perspective, and it's very important. This should disturb every California taxpayer across this state. I don't even care if they have since said, we've taken that page from the curriculum. They're not teaching this in history. They're teaching it under the guise of health. And you know what? The fact that that resource is in a classroom anywhere or in a school anywhere for instructing our children in accepting pedophilia, that is deeply disturbing. And I hope that if there is nothing else, please, I hope that gets people off the couch and out to the Capitol tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. Aileen, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. We know how busy you are today in your group. And again, that Facebook page is Informed, INFORMED, Informed Parents of California. Is that correct? That's your Facebook page.
It sure is.
Thank
and
you.
We'd love to have you there. You can see more proof from the curriculum, and you get more details about the rally and tomorrow's event.
Thank you so much, Aileen. I just hope it's extremely successful and that you are able to successfully get the repeal of AB 329. Thank you, Aileen, for coming on the broadcast today.
Thank you, Denise.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, this is just incredible. To think that under AB 329, we've got superintendents of schools who have said that it's perfectly, and that's what Aileen was saying, talking to the assistant superintendent, i.e., it's cleared by the superintendent, talking about the history of pedophilia as a sexual orientation that should be appropriate in the lives of families here in California. I mean, it's evil. We need to put that on a talking point. The fact that a California school is teaching the history of pedophilia. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just, it's incredible to me. Go to her Facebook page, Informed Parents of California. Check it out. And get up there to Sacramento tomorrow. And I just think it's so important for parents to go. Really important. Okay, want to talk about another topic before we go to break. This is about the 76,000 illegal aliens that are apprehended just last month, okay? 76,000 aliens were apprehended. They were deemed inadmissible at the southern border. Wanted to share with you some information. The Department of Defense, the DOD, has just authorized support to counter the drug cartels there at the border states, California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So the acting Secretary of Defense, Patrick Shanahan, has authorized the commander of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to begin planning and executing up to $1 billion in support of the Department of Homeland Security, Customs, and Border Patrol. I say hallelujah. If you know of a person in this country illegally, contact ICE. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Do you have that number up? It's 866 for those of you listening on iTunes or SoundCloud. The number for ICE is 866 area code 347-2423. Again, 347-2423. 866 area code 347-2423. 2423. This is the number for ICE. Want you to bear in mind that I just read a report. California has refused 5.6 thousand requests to turn over criminal illegal aliens to federal officials. I cannot believe it. California's refused 5.6 thousand. What did I say? Did I say thousand? Yeah, 5.6 thousand requests to turn over criminal illegal aliens to federal officials. And in case you didn't know it, 7 out of 10 households are on welfare. 7 out of 10 of these immigrant households are on welfare. That means that we're paying for their food, their rent, their cell phones. That means that this is why our roads and highways and freeways are congested. I mean, millions and millions. And to think that 5.6 thousand requests by law enforcement to turn over criminal illegal aliens was ignored just by this state alone is incredible. So ladies and gentlemen, one more time, if you know somebody here illegally, you contact ICE at 866 area code 347-2423. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be right back. We've got another special guest coming on the broadcast, Barb Reynolds-Wahlstrom. She'll be right with us. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
I want to tell you about a place I love to go, Frugatti's Italian Restaurant. Very few locations here provide seating outside in front of a fabulous water fountain with an atmosphere that is reminiscent to me of eating outdoors in Venice. This is real Italian food by real Italians. And what makes it even more so is owner Ralph Frugoletti, who nearly a quarter century ago brought a wood fire oven from Milan, Italy to make, like his mother, fresh homemade bread and pizzas. Moreover, Frugatti's Restaurant offers you not only the very best in Southern Italian cooking, even importing the finest ingredients for authentic Italian food, including a fitness menu. After all, Ralph has represented the United States and Italy, competing in the Master Championship Games. He knows all the right food for good fitness, so check out the menu. After today's broadcast, run over to Frugatti's Italian Restaurant and Catering at 600 Coffee Road here in Bakersfield. And after a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday service, stop into Frugatti's for a great lunch. I'll see you there, and tell Mr. Ralph Frugoletti that Denice sent you. Salute. Buon appetito.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so thrilled I've got the owner of Scope 365 Fitness here with me today, Craig Jansen, Navy veteran. Craig, tell the audience out there why everybody in town needs to come up over here and join.
Well, Sculpt 365 is a 24-hour club, so we never close, unlike a lot of other clubs here in town. Additionally, our club is always super clean, and one of the things that you're going to find here is a different environment where we strive to give you a VIP experience here. So we want to get to know you. We want to know your story. We want to know about you and how we can help you succeed and meet all of your fitness goals.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, come on down to Scope 365 Fitness. You're located right here on Brim Hall. Tell us your other location.
We have another location up in Tehachapi. And then our third location here in town is also located over on Chester and Columbus in the Food Mac Shopping Center.
Thank you so much, Craig. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Denice Gary Show. I'm just so happy to have Barb Reynolds-Wahlstrom. Thanks for coming back on the show today.
You're more than welcome.
I love to have an advertiser on my show. You've got some tips today that you want to share with the audience? You want to start with those? You want to end with those?
I can start with those.
Let's start with them.
Prefer?
Let's get some tips from Barb Reynolds-Wahlstrom on what she needs to do. Does she need to bring her mic a little closer? Bring your mic a little closer. Let me move your papers. We'll move your papers a little bit.
Okay.
That's good.
Share with us today. What do you want to share with us?
When they're oftentimes as part of the assets that are subject to non-probate insurance contracts,
What's
401k
non-probate?
plans.
What's non-probate?
It bypasses probate and can be distributed to the heirs of beneficiaries through a trust, a living trust. So those items that form part of what's called your Schedule A of your trust, those are non-probatable assets.
What's probate?
Probate is the process whereby if you don't have a trust, say for instance, you have property that is valued at
Like a person has a house.
$150,000.
Let's say
Exactly.
someone has a house.
And it's not in the name of your trust.
Okay.
It has to go through probate.
And what is probate?
Probate is the procedure by which the court, through your executor, that's either nominated or appointed by the court, or an administrator in the case of you're not having a will, your property is then probated and it's distributed to your heirs, and as a portion of that estate for the court's input in marshaling your assets and making a determination that you were of sound mind at the time that you decided to will your property away, or in the event there's not a will, that an administrator marshals your assets and decides that this is the property that is before the court and the court should distribute this. But before they do, they're going to take their administrative fees off the top.
So if you don't have a will,
You have to go through.
you have to go through probate. So
Yeah.
everybody
if
needs
your
a
property
will.
exceeds $150,000, yes, you have to go through
You
probate.
have to have a will, ladies and gentlemen, and that's
You
need.
want a trust.
You need Barb Reynolds-Wahlstrom.
You want a trust.
Because if you don't have that will, if you don't have that trust, the state, the court, is going to take part of that estate away from your heirs. So that
They're going to take between $20,000 and $30,000 for
they're going to take between 20 and
valuation
30.
of property.
They're going to take. You have told them that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, they'll take your breath away.
Yeah, they'll take $20,000 or $30,000 away. You know, wow, that would really help me pay my
That's
student
right.
loan.
Oh, they'll take that
Yeah.
away.
So,
as their
ladies and
administration
gentlemen,
fee.
you want to call. You want to call Barb Reynolds-Wahlstrom. What's your number again, Barb?
Area code 661-805-3306.
You've got to call Barb because you want that will in place.
I think you want that trust
Because you
and that
don't-
will in place.
that trust and
Absolutely.
will in place.
Absolutely. And also, the point I wanted to, an additional point I wanted to make to the comments that you made, Denise, is the fact that you want, say for instance on an insurance contract, you can't change an insurance contract, or a 401k plan. Those are contracts that are in place, and you list the names of your beneficiaries as a primary beneficiary or the secondary beneficiary, but you want your trust to always be a beneficiary. Why is that?
I don't know.
The trust can't die. The first beneficiary, that might be your daughter, they might get killed in an auto accident.
Oh, dear.
The second beneficiary might die. And you in your grief, you forget, or someone forgets, to create a beneficiary to receive that 401k plan, or to receive that insurance policy, the proceeds of
And you
thereof.
don't want it to go to the state.
Exactly. And if you don't have a beneficiary, guess what? It's got to be probated. So if you make the trust, the trustee of the trust name, if you make them a beneficiary, you might want to make them the primary, because your trust says how you want your things distributed to your heirs and your beneficiaries. But make, in any event, make the trust a beneficiary on any type of policy, 401k, your insurance policy. Make the trust a beneficiary, because the trust cannot die. Okay? So if there's nothing left but the trust, guess what? Your successor trustee is then going to distribute the proceeds and the assets of the trust according to what you want it done anyway. So
All right. Okay.
always remember always have your trust as a beneficiary. And you can get those forms. It's very simple to get them from the insurance company or from whomever. And
we
just
can
write
get it
down
from
the name
you.
of your trust.
We
Well,
can
I
get
would
it
be
from
more
you,
than
and
happy to
we can-
contact
we
the
can hire
different
you
agencies
to
for
do
you.
that.
I'd be more than happy to do that.
Okay.
And what you also want to do is to make sure that sometimes the same person that makes your health care decisions for you, say you're incapacitated and you can't talk, a family member, your loving husband, your loving daughter, or your son, they can make those types of health decisions for you, but maybe sometimes they're not that financially savvy in things. You might want to consider, I had a client that had, she had her daughter as the healthcare agent to make decisions for her health care.
Okay.
But then, and she admitted, I love my daughter, but she's too young to understand the dynamics of my financial business. So she decided to make her two accountants. The agents for her financial decisions, and everybody's happy.
All right.
Yeah. So sometimes both people can't operate in both spheres,
Okay.
and you need to consider that.
All right.
Okay. Best person for the best for those tasks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
You're
for
more
that.
than welcome.
Okay, now I want to quiz Barb today on this, it's just so irritating, this Jussie Smollett
Can
case.
you believe that?
So I've written some notes out here, and I want to go through it. I know you're really interested in this. You sent me a text telling me, so I thought, well, okay, so here we go. I understand that the assistant state attorney on this case there in Chicago, Illinois, said that Jussie was not exonerated at all. He wasn't exonerated, and that the state just wanted to prioritize its cases. And I wanted to ask you, as somebody who's been working very closely and tightly with attorneys for years, have you ever heard of such a thing happening?
I've never heard of it.
We can't proceed in court on a case.
It's unheard of.
Because we're going to prioritize.
I can't get into the head of whomever made that decision. It's almost like an edict where they decide whether they're going forward or not. And notwithstanding the evidence that might be present, they have determined that they are not going to move forward. And that is a very concerning issue from the point of from a legal professional. When you think about the fact that law is codified. What do I mean by codified?
It's written down.
Law is written, and
down.
it is written in the various states so that you would have some idea as to an outcome of a case.
Right.
That's the reason for the codes being there and those rules of law and those cases being there in each state, so that wherever you go, you've got a fairly good idea as to what the result is going to be like in that case. But in this case, I am clueless.
The law seems like it was thrown out the window.
Exactly.
So we understand. I have 3 more questions for you. My next question is, so he's not exonerated. They're not giving him back his $10,000 bond, which suggests guilt.
Yes.
And then he was told to do community service, but who's he doing community service for? Jesse Jackson?
Yeah, Rainbow Coalition.
Yeah,
Isn't that special?
Rainbow Coalition.
Yes, I know about how much community service he's going to do. Well, that's good. If he chose to do that and the court permits him to do that,
I understand they were
been an
camera
agreement.
shoots. That was what it was.
Oh, is that
about,
right?
Camera shoots.
Oh, okay.
No.
Right.
So this is my question to you. This is my next question. So the police. The police found several issues, and it went to a grand jury, right? Because he was arrested.
Yes.
And now it went to a grand jury, and he posted, $10,000 bond. The grand jury handed down, based on the evidence provided by the police and the attorney.
Yes.
Was it the state? It was the district attorney in Chicago.
It was the district attorney.
The DA in Chicago. So all this evidence was turned over to our grand jury. They handed down not 1, not 2, not 3, 16 felony indictments, Barb. How does that get thrown out the door?
Denice, it belies logic. It belies the evidence that the grand jury obviously had to render those indictments.
It stinks.
And it does, and I suppose that's why the Chicago Police Union is asking for a federal investigation of this Smollett case, a federal investigation.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Good. And that's
so the police are asking for federal
the Chicago Police Department Union is asking for a federal investigation right now.
Now, that federal investigation, is that done by the DOJ? Or is it it could be both. Depending upon the fact that it goes into Nigeria. And he used the mail service, so that's FBI.
Exactly.
Because I believe he mailed a check to his trainers to put the rope around his neck.
Well, so, he claims that was in connection with some type of physical training that he was engaged in.
We wrap a rope around our neck to physically train. I don't wrap around.
That's very curious. No,
do you wrap a rope?
No, I don't.
I haven't ever wrapped a rope around my neck.
No. I don't know what that was for.
Yeah, that's really strange.
That's really curious. But
so I'm
bless his
happy
heart.
news. Barb brought us happy news today. So it sounds like the FBI for sure.
Yes,
but federal investigation.
It's a federal investigation.
I'm thinking that's probably DOJ, Department of Justice. Okay, what do you think about this, Barb? It said here that the judge, I don't understand this, the judge decided that all evidence was to be sealed in the case. Why would, he's not a child, he's not a minor. Why? So why is it, according to this report that I'm looking at, that all evidence
he seals the evidence
was sealed? What is that about?
And he expunges his record as if there was no arrest at all.
Cleaned up.
Absolutely amazing. You know what? I think that if that's the discourse after trials, I think it should apply to everybody, not just the privileged. Exactly. Think of how many man hours that would require to seal all records. That before the ink's even dry, he's sealing records and expunging records. That's amazing to me.
Do you know how that process works?
Seal. It's the judge on its own motion can seal the records. Obviously, that's what the judge has done.
He hands it to
and he says seal the records. That's exactly right.
So what happens to the records?
They're not subject to, goes in some type of private, or they could very well, but at some point the federal investigation may want those records unsealed.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in other words, thou doth rush too quickly to seal records and expunge records. That's absolutely amazing.
They can't delete them or burn them or
anything. You look at something like that with jaundiced eye. Why move so quickly?
Yeah.
It's out of the realm of ordinary, of normalcy. Okay.
Never heard of it before.
Never heard of it
before.
So that's going to be one to watch for a while.
So now it seems like leftist liberals. I mean, if you've got money, honey.
Yeah, evidently.
If you've got, and you're a liberal.
Yeah.
And he's black, so he's minority. He's got the race card.
Well,
that kind of the race card.
He's playing it.
And he's gay.
Yes.
And he's a left-wing liberal loon. And he's got the money. Honey.
Yes. So it sort of demolishes the theory of white privilege.
Did you?
Because clearly this was not white privilege. This was black privilege and wealth privilege.
I think it's left-wing
it takes on a new name, doesn't it?
I think it's left-wing wealth privilege, and I'll tell you what I heard on the news today. I heard on the news today that somebody's friends of Michelle Obama.
Oh, isn't that special?
That came out this morning, that somebody's news of the former First Lady from Chicago. Talk about graft and corruption.
From Chicago.
Oh, and didn't we hear, Barb, that on the Christopher Steele dossier, about, an ex-spy spying on candidate Trump, being paid for by Hillary. Didn't we hear that Obama was, all in that?
Yes.
His CIA director,
Yeah, those were all of his
all
cabinet,
his
members
intelligence
from his
people.
cabinet.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, were involved.
Yeah.
Isn't Chicago politics? Talk about graft and corruption, ladies and gentlemen.
And they knew it was false when they submitted it to the judge.
Yes.
The FISA warrant. They knew it was false.
I was-
I say false to the extent that it was not verified. Okay.
I'm looking at something where Mr. Still's dossier, it was reported by Michael Isikoff back in January when it first, 2 years ago. He looked at that and he says, well, likely this is all false. I mean, he didn't even believe it on the, but they reported it, but people in charge didn't believe it. And remember Comey, what did our former FBI director James Comey say? He said he thought it was all salacious and unverifiable. Our own former FBI director, salacious and
But they submitted
unverified.
it anyway.
Yeah, they did it anyway.
And that basis formed the basis of this investigation that proved there was no collusion
Back
at all.
to Smollett, I heard that Michelle Obama was on the phone talking to people in the state attorney general's office, and possibly that person in that office talked to somebody in the Chicago DA's office.
Are you suggesting collusion?
I'm suggesting once again that people
Well, it needs
in
to
the
apply
Obama-
somewhere. It doesn't
Yes.
attach to the president.
Yes.
So-
Okay, we've got to hurry. We've got to move on. I understand the next thing you wanted to talk about was, let's look at our list here. The celeb college scam. So what did you want to talk about? Because I've got a
That's
couple
still
things too.
ongoing, and it's very curious. Many of the
It's curious,
the
all right.
students who were caught up in this have left college as they should. It's another issue, and we'll see how that plays out for those that have graduated or received grades to graduate.
Some of them are still at the universities.
Yeah,
Should they stay there, Bob?
I don't think they should,
I don't
because it sets a precedence for
It's fraud. They got their money.
exactly, and
By crook.
that's exactly right. And how do you teach young people? How do you lead young people in terms of a sense of morality,
right.
and what is good,
Right.
and those
lawful.
things to
And
aspire
lawful.
to? Exactly. You gut the concept of academics. You laugh at people like us who have gone through those rigors
Right.
to obtain degrees. You insult us.
You insult us, people like us that worked our way through, even graduate school.
Yeah.
And it's a wonder I even got accepted. I had no money.
And that just goes to show you how much you did work and how tirelessly you did that in order to qualify.
Well-
And those are pains and loops you jump through that you'll never forget.
No.
And to have someone say that I can give you $500,000 if you let my daughter in this school, who will do absolutely nothing, who won't further America, who doesn't have the passion to do anything except to engage in the college experience. What good is that for
I
society?
wanted to engage in Harvard's college experience, but I didn't have the money to pay those out-of-state tuition fees. I would have loved to have gone there, or to Princeton, or to Georgia.
Stanford, yeah, sure.
Yeah, didn't have that money, and it was too far away. Well, Stanford, I didn't go to Stanford because they didn't have a school of international relations that focused on Middle Eastern affairs. I looked at Stanford. I had to go to USC. It was the only school in California
Well,
where I wouldn't
USC
have to
was a
pay
good school, yeah.
out-of-state fees.
Right.
It was the only school of international relations that had a specialized program in Middle Eastern affairs, which was what my passion was. But I want to share something. Oh, my producer wants to say.
I
yes.
wanted to say that
Okay.
I only disagree with you up to a point on this because
You disagree with me.
because I think that those who are in school right now should remain in school only if you are an upperclassman and only if your grade point average is 3.25 or higher, because it shows that you are actually trying to graduate.
3.25? Are you kidding?
I could go.
Should be at least 3.50.
But I think it should be on a
That's a
case
high
by
need.
case basis. You should be the student should show that they are attempting to make the grades
No, because some people
and
can get
attempting
grades.
to get the degree.
I disagree, ladies and gentlemen.
What you are saying is that it should be determined on a case-by-case basis.
That is correct.
And not a blanket rule that if this is how you got in, you need to go. Okay.
I say not okay. I say if you got into a university by hook and by crook because mommy or daddy paid your way into that school, you need to go to another school and finish your degree objective. You need to go to another school and you need to do all the paperwork and you need to get accepted in, just like the rest of us had to do that are from poor families that worked our way through from the
Worked our butts
get-go,
off.
starting in high school and working our way through
That's
and then
right.
kept working.
That's right.
Right after we graduated. No break, no
None.
vacation, no time off, just kept on working. You have to do that. I say nobody gets off the hook. Now, moving on. I want to get your thought on this.
Okay.
I was looking at Forbes magazine. This is online. The title of this piece, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is from Forbes. It's called The Democrats, the Party. The Democrat Party of the Elite College Education. So I'm looking at this article, and the author, who's the author? It says CCAP is a contributor. I don't know what that means. Probably, I think it's an educational institution. CCAP contributor. Well, okay, Richard Vetter. Richard Vetter directs the Center for College Affordability and Productivity. He teaches at Ohio University and is an adjunct scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. That's who wrote this. Okay, a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. So I'm looking at this, and what this author did was he looked at a sample of Democrats and he looked at a sample of Republicans. And guess what he found out? He found out that Democrats, supposedly the party of the poor and oppressed, that really care about the poor and oppressed, and are mightily concerned about income distribution, getting more people to vote for them. Apparently, they're all going to the elite Ivy schools. But Republicans, the sampling of Republicans, and by the way, they're looking at people in leadership. I should have made that clear. So the sample of Democrats are people in leadership positions in our country. People that are in the United States Senate or in the United States Congress, or people who have been president who are president. Because our president didn't go to an Ivy League university. And he could have.
Oh, yes.
He could have, but he didn't. And but he still has his master's degree in business, I believe.
So, yeah.
I believe it is. So, but anyway, looking at, and so again, let me walk it all back. Looking at a sample of Democrats and a sample of Republicans who are in high leadership positions, and it's the Democrats, wealthy Democrats that went to, or I should say, have the money to go to the top schools, the Ivy League schools, the elite schools in our country. Republicans did not. I thought that was fascinating.
That's very interesting.
The top 1%, the 8 schools in the United States with the largest endowments are Harvard, which I'm a dreamer. I would have loved to have gone to Harvard. The University of Texas System, that's a private school. Yale, Stanford, Princeton, MIT, Texas A&M, and Northwestern. And I looked at Harvard and Yale, and of course Stanford. Stanford didn't have the program I wanted, and Princeton. But you know, as a dreamer, I just no way I could even begin to think about affording that at the time. And I still have wanted to finish my doctorate degree. I just ran out of the energy and time. I just couldn't see myself working. And in fact, they told me, if you want a doctorate degree, honey, you can't be working as much as you're working to support yourself. You got to take time off work. And I thought, how am I going to eat if I do that? I guess I could live. I could live on the street and use the university bathroom, but how am I going to eat? That's kind of important. And
That's very important.
I was real thin, and when I was going to school, ladies and gentlemen, I was real thin. My mother used to say, "You look like a concentration camp victim." So anyway, I wanted to share that out, and
That's interesting.
And one more thing before do I have another minute?
Yeah, 1 minute.
Okay, I have 1 minute. So look at this. You see that? Mm-hmm. So the president just signed an executive order on improving, quote, free inquiry, transparency, and accountability at colleges and universities. Is our president on it or
He's on
what? He's on it.
Yes, he is.
And he just did this March 21st after hearing about
That's
all
wonderful.
this nasty stuff going on by these wealthy Democrats that are cheating to get their kids in.
That's wonderful.
So listen to what the president said. He says he wants universities to be more affordable, more transparent, more accountable, and he says the financial burden of higher education. Do you think I should write the president? Because I'm still paying my student loan. I'm thinking, I've been paying my student loan, I can't tell you how long I've been paying my student loan. I'm thinking of writing the president. I wonder if he will help me. It says the financial burden of higher education on students and their families is a national problem. You know why it's a national problem? Because dreamers like me cannot get accomplished in life before they die what they wanted to get accomplished in life before they die, because they just don't have the resources to do it. If I didn't have that $300 student loan payment every month, $300 student loan payment every month, I could be spending that money on things that I have dreamed about, wanted to get accomplished. $300 a month times 12.
How long have you been paying it?
Since I was 25.
Well, based upon some type of hardship, you might consider a BK in terms
I work full time, and so I have a teaching position, so I can't exactly claim hardship because I have a teaching position. I work full time, and I do this show full time. So of course I don't get paid to do the show. So by the way, before we go to break, since I'm not paid to do this show, but I want to do this show because this is my passion.
It's so important for you to do this show.
This is my passion to do this show.
Especially when these issues are confronting America, because our borders are so porous. We're getting smaller and smaller. So those issues that are bringing Middle East relations with America to the forefront every day, and someone with your knowledge base and your academics in the area of Middle East relations is absolutely critical for people to know about, and this show affords them that a window into what is happening on the ground right now, today.
Thank you, Bob.
And we need that window, and I don't know of any other show or publication that affords us that on a daily basis. So I'm very grateful that you're on the air, and
thank you, Barb.
Certainly everybody needs to be mindful of that and realize that to keep this avenue of knowledge forthcoming to us, because we need to be in the know about what is happening around us. Your show, I think, is absolutely critical to remaining on the air.
Thank you so much. She's my advertiser.
Well, it's the truth.
Give them your phone number again.
Area code 661-805-3306. And my clients are working people. So I don't care what time you call me. Please do that if we can be of assistance.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the broadcast. If you'd like to make a contribution, you can do so. It can be tax deductible by making it out to the Middle East Initiative, my 501c3, and you can send it to my post office box, P.O. Box 82162, 82162, Bakersfield, California, 93380. We'll be right back after this break.
Trump has correctly stated that economic security is national security. And in the Tehachapi Mountains of Kern County resides a United States defense contractor, I.C.E Products. Here is the Silicon Valley of the aerospace industry, right here in East Kern. I.C.E Products is a forward-leaning manufacturer and distributor of hardware sold to major defense and aerospace companies. We're talking about Boeing, Lockheed Martin, United Technologies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon General Electric, and on the list goes, as well as to every United States ally worldwide, including Israel, America's most important strategic ally in the Middle East. And for everything that flies, I.C.E Products is providing the parts. And with me today is the president of I.C.E Products, Scott Baker. Hi, Scott.
How you doing?
Scott, tell us why you believe this corner of Kern County is the hub of the aerospace industry.
Well, this portion of Southern California here out in the Antelope Valley, it contains, some of the most cutting edge technology going on in aviation today. We have some of the UCAS programs with unmanned technologies going on. We have Edwards Air Force Base out here who's doing continual testing in their area. We have the Naval Weapons Station up there at China Lake doing some fantastic cutting edge stuff, cruise missile technology, and those things are going on. We have Scale Composites locally doing a lot of composite technology, which is new. We have SpaceX, which is a private one putting a private entity putting things into space now. This area is the growth center for aviation's future, and this is the area I think that as a nation we need to be concentrating some of our effort and taking this technology. And as we all know, with the space program from Apollo years ago, out of these technologies, we the private sector are going to reap some of the benefits of that.
Thank you, Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Baker, president of I.C.E Products. I.C.E Products, located in the beautiful mountains of Tehachapi, California, in eastern Kern County, is home to some of the most innovative and specialized technologies in the world, including those at the U.S. Naval Air Warfare Center, Weapons Division at China Lake, Edwards Air Force Base, as well as Strata Launch, launching satellites capable of delivering multiple orbits in a single flight to space. And it is I.C.E Products that has provided the manufactured devices, and the president, Scott Baker of I.C.E Products, Marine Corps veteran, reactivated on 9/11 to monitor threats to the homeland, is carrying on a tradition of providing for the security of the United States by manufacturing every kind of fastener on anything that flies, as well as providing a full testing destructive laboratory. Contact I.C.E Products, now in business for 30 years, at 661-822-6873. Located at 1314 Goodrich Drive in Tehachapi for your manufacturing and testing needs today.
Ladies and gentlemen, okay, Rashida Tlaib. This is the gal, freshman congresswoman from the state of Michigan, which has very significant population of Muslim Arabs that have come into the country and have been, well, they've protested our presidents, they've protested our Judeo-Christian values. They're in the streets a lot of the time protesting everything that most Americans stand for, because they're from a different culture, they have a different set of values, they don't like it. That, there's been a crackdown on female genital mutilation. And so, they want to just continue having Sharia law and doing FGM and the kinds of things that they used to do, which are a violation of our legal code.
Sure.
So here we have a gal, Rashida Tlaib. She says she's from quote unquote Palestinian parents. That means she's from Muslim Arab parents, and she's calling for President Trump's impeachment because, according to Tlaib, who swore in on the Quran, not the Bible, who swore on the Quran, which calls for the death of infidels, Jews and Christians and other non-Muslims like Hindus and Sikhs that we also have in this country. We have
And President
Buddhists.
Trump is a Christian.
Yeah.
I
So
see.
it calls for the
And he's an American.
right.
And therefore he's one of the infidels that from crib to grave she is instructed to hate. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I see.
But she's come over to our country, and so and she was the one that called our president a mother
Effer.
effer. Yeah. Okay, so
How did she?
this
But
gal-
that was before. Was that before she took the oath of office? That she
Was it
she was
before?
drunk at a cafe or
I
something.
thought it was after.
She was inebriated, perhaps so. But I find it startling
She was
that
inebriated?
oh yes. Well, I'm assuming either that or she's insane.
I thought
One of
she
the
was-
others to call the president a mother effer and have it published throughout the world. She was either drunk or crazy, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
Because most civilized people in the halls of Congress don't do that.
well, they don't talk that way.
No.
So
But then again, she's not. She totally is un-American. She truly is.
So here Tlaib is telling us that the President of the United States is, quote, I'm quoting, the most dangerous threat to democracy today.
I
Really?
see.
The President is the most dangerous threat to democracy. He's trying to get every American employed. Unemployment is now down to 3%
Yes,
across
it
the
is.
country. Wage increases are up 3.4%. I mean, we have had, remember Obama? Yeah, well, we can forget about him. Because since President Trump's come in office, I mean, wage increases have gone up 3.4%. Obama
Yes.
didn't even think that would ever be possible.
Yes.
That never happened. We're talking about serious wage increases for the American worker. 3.4% across the board. And what else does he do? Well, let's see. He went to our allies and he says, you know what? You NATO allies, you need to pay for your fair share because the whole burden of your national security and our national security shouldn't be just on the United
Yes,
States
that's right.
taxpayers. Okay, he's talking to North Korea. He told the Palestinian Authority, which gives out tens of thousands of dollars every month to people that are sitting in prisons for acts of terrorism. He's paying them a salary. And
He's done more for veterans than any
President Trump has done more for
president in the
veterans.
last 20, 30 years. Yes, he has.
So President Trump is the most dangerous threat to democracy. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Her leader, Mahmoud Abbas, the leader of the Palestinians, Arab Muslims that hail from various tribes, various Arab tribes. There are numerous tribes in the Middle East. Palestinians, they like the rest of the Middle East, are tribal people. Their loyalty is first to Islam and then to their tribe. They're not even, I don't think a lot of people realize that in the Muslim Arab world, we think about allegiance to a nation state here in the West. Our ideas are so different that way. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. They're pledging allegiance to the ISIS flag or to the PLO flag or to the Hezbollah. These are Islamic flags that represent Islam to them. So their allegiance is to that first, to Islam.
It's to their sect, to their
To
individual
Islam.
flag, and then to Islam.
To Islam first, because their flags represent Islam. I mean, all of these groups' ideology is rooted in militant Islam. So when they salute the flag, it's first to Islam and then to their group, and their group could be part of their tribe or part of their clan. So, and then of course there's the family and the extended family. I just look at Palestinian media watch, because you can actually listen to the Arabic and see it translated into English. This is for every American. You can do this. And you're going to find out that Rashida Tlaib, the Palestinian leader, may be somehow related to her group, her tribe, her clan, he has paid at least $134.2 million in salaries to terrorist prisoners and released prisoners. He's actually the Palestinian leader, Mahmoud Abbas, who is not a legitimate partner for peace with Israeli leaders. In some cases, salaries that are paid by the Palestinian Authority to terrorists are higher than the salaries paid to judges and doctors. Think about that. Judges and doctors on the payroll of the Palestinian Authority, which exercises control over Muslim and Christian Palestinians in Judea and Samaria, what is also referred to as the West Bank, will pay out more money to a terrorist in some cases than to a judge or a doctor.
And what that tells you is that there's a higher priority for the terrorists to continue to resume and to continue and further their ongoing terrorist activities. That's the only logical conclusion you can come to.
The message is commit acts of terror.
Continue to commit acts of terror.
Continue to kill innocent men, women, and children sleeping in their beds or on their way to school or on their way to work. Keep killing innocent civilians because I'm going to pay you. And I'm going to make sure I pay you even if I can't pay the doctors and the judges here in cities and communities in Judea and Samaria, Israel's, the Jewish people's homeland and heartland. We've got to call it a day, Barb. We've got to call it a
and
day.
is the very thought that she could call the President of the United States a mother effer, the unmitigated gall, and to bring that type of hostility toward every American. I'm not supposed to be concerned about her, and I'm supposed to dispense with common horse sense that I shouldn't have some type of concern. If so, and if I articulate it, then I've got Islamophobia. Well, guess what? I'll take Islamophobia, okay, because I've got good sense.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, you know, for those Americans who elected the president, I've got news for you. We don't appreciate it. And for those of you that like to say that Hillary Rodham Clinton won the popular vote, you know what? That is not correct. Let me tell you something. You know why people say that she won the popular vote? Because one state in all of the 50 states, we had more Californians vote for Hillary than for Trump. And that's why we have the Electoral College. That's why we need to keep the Electoral College, because we can't have a liberal progressive state like California or New York dictating to the other 48 states in the Union who the next president is going to be. Because in states like California, when you have all those illegal aliens coming in, who are they voting for? They're voting for the Democratic candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got it. Our producer says we have to go. Nobody wants to say something. Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to answer the question you posed about when Tlaib had said that. It was reported by multiple sources on January 4th of this year that she had said that.
So is that before she was sworn in or after?
It was before.
And she was sworn in, notwithstanding calling the president a mother effer.
That's really
unbelievable.
Sad. Really
it's tragic.
Sad.
It truly is, and it points up that she's unfit to govern. Govern what? Govern who?
Yeah, she's representing.
She's representing America, and that's a joke.
Well, she certainly represents her district in Michigan.
Yes,
and I'd like to think that there were people, Rashida Tlaib, in your district that voted for the president.
That's right.
And don't appreciate you and what you stand for, and the words that have come out of your mouth with regards to the President of the United States, who gives his entire salary each and every month to the American people and helping make America great again. And we appreciate that, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yes, we do.
We've passed the time. We've got to run. Thank you so much for listening to the Denice Gary Show. Barb, Reynolds-Wahlstrom, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast today. We really appreciate you.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.
As always, Denise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with you tomorrow. This is Denice on the Denice Gary Show, signing off.
Thank you for listening to the Denice Gary Show. Intelligent talk media.